Their expectations were low and they met their expectations.
That's right, I was wondering.
It took me a second. Like, what was it?
Peeking in, I'm like, and then you said
You get used to it, Mr. Yeah.
for some reason, see what's going on.
Why are they all standing though? That means
That's all right.
Wouldn't want to be too early.
their belts and everything. Yeah, that's fair.
Come here and stand under the fan of it.
We have that in the budget.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how you
That
doing?
would be better.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All
Get a
right,
little insulation.
I got them in my car.
Okay.
I didn't want to schlep them up here, they're kind of heavy.
Okay.
Although it is kind of warm out, I opened my windows.
Cooler. Oh, okay. The weather's looking very bad.
For when?
Supposed to do an open house at the Nashville Garden on Wednesday night. Yeah, they're like.
I
severe
say
weather.
we do a hurricane party. We gotta
In
set up.
somebody's basement.
No, okay.
It'd be better than Saturday and Sunday.
Good morning and welcome to the Berry County Commissioners Meeting for Committee of the Whole for June 17th, 2025. If you would please stand for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. We apologize for our warm temperature in here this morning. We're having a few issues with our AC unit, and of course the fourth floor up here in the Commissioner's Chamber is known for a little hot air at times, so you just be patient with us. We'll see if we can get it fixed. Reports from state and county officials. Are there any state or county officials that would like to give an update to the board this morning?
Sam Kellogg is there. Questions? Sam Kellogg, Battle Creek, Alabama, Battle Creek. He's a he's an Army veteran, so
You know, man.
it's a good mom. You know that, right? So we already swore him in, so I just thought I'd bring him up and introduce you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sam. Welcome aboard.
Full of energy.
All right.
Perfect.
All right.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Nothing to report. Sorry. Have a good day. First of all, I think you all got my text with the pictures and everything, the Rock the Country. That went better than we had anticipated. So the crowd was great. Traffic, I thought my guys did fabulous for having 2 lanes and trying to pack in 7,000 cars into a sardine can there, basically. And a lot of talent coming into Berry County. They started at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and they went to about 11 o'clock at night. And Leonard Skinner and Kid Rock, and there was a bunch of others in between that were just, had everybody rocking and drinking. So we did have a few of those where the people were pretty well lit, had a hard time standing up. I had a few little tussles, but other than that, the only 2 arrests we had were after people left and drunk driving. And I think one was like a .09, which is just over the limit, and the other one was pretty bad. So, and I don't even know if both of them came from there. So, what do you guys at? Lieutenant Stevens and Sergeant Lehman and Lieutenant Nevins, they did most of the planning for all that traffic. It took a lot of manpower. It wasn't just at the gates there. It was several traffic points. At one time, the traffic was almost backed up to Pleasant Point, which is not too far from Bob's Gun and Tackle there. And I'm not sure how far north. How far north was it backed up?
Shaw Lake.
About Shaw Lake Road. Okay. So for the amount of traffic and everything like that, we got people moved in pretty rapidly. Out was pretty difficult too, because first night the northeast part of the fairgrounds there, they didn't park them all pointing in the same direction, so it was pretty good mess out back there. The second day though, and they made adjustments. Second day, everybody got pointed in the right direction, and traffic went much smoother the second day. I don't know, am I missing anything? Anything else you want me to add?
No, but we didn't park them, the event staff did, so
Yeah.
we're not going to take the blame for that one.
Yeah. But still, it helps us getting them out when they have them pointed in the right direction. And there was no injuries that I knew of, and very, very few little tussles. Nobody went to jail from there. So I'm very proud of my guys for that, and all the state police and everybody else who helped out in there. So any questions for me?
No, I would just say congratulations to law enforcement and first responders and 911 and everybody involved in the planning of that, because from what we heard, it was crowded and a little chaotic at times, that if you had expectations of traffic being slow, you were not disappointed. But
911, I think you were more overworked out in the county area. Actually, we had a lot going on out in the county area at one time, so they always do a good job for us. So they had their own, it was that state police had this great big old truck there, and there's a whole dispatch area back there that was pretty impressive. So maybe in a couple of years we'll try and hit you up for one of those. I don't know.
Well, I think that is probably by far the...
Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. I've got photos and video. We need about $1 million for
Wow.
That's all, just $1 million?
That's just going to get us started.
Okay. But yeah, other than that, things went great. I mean,
Questions or comments from commissioners? Go ahead, Commissioner.
Go ahead, John.
If you were, say, out at Shaw Lake Road, where the traffic comes to kind of a halt, how long would it take you to get into the fairgrounds?
first day or second day. The first day, we had people getting out of work too, coming in late.
Yeah.
The second day, which Saturday, the people come in a little more spread out.
So what about Saturday? Was the traffic backed up to Shaw Lake then?
At moments.
Yeah.
So talking to some of the people coming in when we were at the gates, they said most people were right around a half an hour, 45 minutes. Some of it on Friday was, I'd heard, up to about 3 hours, but we kind of streamlined a few things. Again, the parking kind of got adjusted and we were able to get them in faster. Saturday there were more people, more cars, but it went much smoother.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Friday night, they had a meeting to make the adjustments, and they worked, so.
Fantastic. Commissioner Tennyson.
Yeah, I just want to commend everybody, the coordinated effort on this whole thing from everything. We were lucky enough, Marcia, Catherine, and I were lucky enough to go out there Wednesday night, and they took us on a little tour. And the preparations that everybody made prior to this, hours and hours and hours and hours. My hat's off to everybody that was involved with this, from emergency management to 911 to everything from the sheriff department to the state police. If I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize, but I was very impressed. I think we all three were. The preparation that they were doing to get that many people in and out of there. And I've talked to a lot of people that they had the time of their lives out there, okay? They might have spent a lot of money, but they said it was well worth the money to spend to be there. Amount of people they met from other states, other areas that were totally amazed at Berry County. Berry County got put on the map the other day, so I just want to thank everybody that was involved with it. So, thanks.
There's other events going on too besides that. So we had the little protest, Charlton Park car show, which really stretched out our posse. And then wasn't that Buttermilk Jamboree going too?
Jamboree.
Yeah, that was going down at Circle Pines, and that brings in usually 1,000 to 3,000 people. So, yeah, Berry County was bulging at the seams Friday and Saturday. So, anything else? All right, thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
County official, so help me.
County official, all right.
I just want to jump on it. I've done plenty of events over my career. Nothing obviously this size. Berry County hasn't really seen anything of this size, but I will tell you the cooperation between Sheriff's Department, 911, Emergency Management, State Police was top notch. I sat through some of the planning meetings. Road Commission was there, Health Department. A lot of groups you don't see. You would be like, why are they involved? They were there at the table making sure that we covered all the issues. So I just wanted to pass my kudos and thanks on, and just to make sure you were aware that, there is a long list of people who made this a success. So, and I know Sheriff's Department was on the road, for a couple days straight. And 911 was there, so they carried the heavy lifting, but there were a lot of people behind the scenes, so just wanted to give you that heads up. So if they come back, we've learned stuff too, so we can adjust and be prepared for next year, maybe.
Is there a next year?
I don't know, haven't heard.
Okay.
I'll defer to others.
Okay.
They're talking 3 more.
We did it well enough where they're probably coming back.
Really? Okay.
We led the country at ticket sales.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 10 shows, and Hastings has been the largest.
Wow.
How many of the 10 are over now?
I was going to say about half.
So when we...
Yeah, because there were 3 shows for sure before us, because we had discussions with leadership in those communities to see, what their best practices were, what went right, what went wrong, where they needed additional help. So 3 for sure. There was one in York, Pennsylvania last week, then us, and then they're on to the next one. So at least half.
Wow.
Yeah, we had over 22,000, right around 23,000 Friday, and right around 30,000 on Saturday.
I've got some Patrick highlights just for you from the entertainment company, so you can see that impact.
Sounds like a nice economic impact for Berry County. Well done, everyone. Well done. Any other reports from state or county officials? Moving on, limited public comment at this time. Any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for any item on our agenda this morning. Hearing none. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of the June 3rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved. Hatfield.
Support.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Tunison for approval of the June 23rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion is approved. This morning, first on our list, we have interviews for Berry County Community Mental Health. There is 1 position available. We have 2 applicants. Is Andrea Kingsley with us this morning? No, Andrea, at this point. How about Jerry Wilson? Interviews are going to go fast at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, we were interviewing?
Don't have to worry about that one.
Well, if they come in, we will redo our agenda and go from there. So at this point, we're going to move ahead to our discussion for portable radios, in-car cameras, and body cameras, and several items thereof. Good morning.
Good morning again. I'm just here to kick this off. We have a team here that has been working on this. I will tell you this, I don't like mid-year budget requests, especially capital like this. However, with a lot of things that have been going on, with some necessary technological advances that we have to comply with by, September, we need to get moving on this. We couldn't wait for the 26 budget process. So that's why you have it today. That's why we're looking at the way we're financing it, just to help us absorb the cost. But you have in front of you proposals from Motorola for the acquisition of new radios, new in-car cameras, and new body cams, and some in-car radios. So you have Lieutenant Stevens and Sergeant Lehman have really carried this project to the Sheriff's Department. Obviously, Dar and Kevin have been involved the whole way, but I know Tim and Steve have really done a great job of leading that effort. Obviously, our partners at 911, Stephanie's been invaluable with her experience in providing advice. And then you have the team from Motorola here, Andrea and Jason Bernard, and then Kevin Courtney from Crouch Communications. So you have a wealth of people here who can provide the technical answers and the operational answers. I'm just the money guy. So Tim, Steve, if you guys want to come up and really just talk about where you're at, why you've asked for what you've asked for. Or Dar or Kevin, whoever wants to handle that one.
Well, that was his chair. He's up.
I'm standing up. You guys are good.
So in the final quotes that we got, the request was for
Can you speak
30.
close to there? Yeah, thank you.
30 in-car cameras. It's 22 new in-car radios, so the mobile radios in cars, with the addition of replacing or sending in for repair or upgrading 11 that we can, that are currently in cars. Three additional, I think, desktop radios that need to be replaced in our control rooms, and then I think one for over here at IT. 46 body cams, 25 would be assigned to road, 21 to the jail. And 36 new portable radios from Motorola, with the repurposing of our current Kenwood portable radios, repurposing to jail staff, that would put them on the same system that we're currently operating on, and get them off, I believe they're currently working on a VHF system. I think that's all we had in there, if I remember right. As far as what we're looking for, I guess what are the questions that are on here? I assume you guys had a chance to review the proposal that was put together.
Did you say that you needed 30 in-car cams, but then later on you said 21 were assigned to the road?
Body cams.
Body cams.
That's body cams. So there's a total of 46 body cams. In-cars would be affixed in the vehicles. The in-car, the 30, would be assigned, would be just the in-car cameras.
Okay.
The body cams, 21 of those would be assigned to jail personnel, 25 would be assigned to road personnel.
So 30 in-car cams or dash cams?
Yes. Correct.
21 of the body cams are assigned to road deputies or road patrol?
25.
25, okay.
One to jail.
Okay, 21 to the jail. Okay, and I know that we were invited to some of those meetings. How many companies did you interview in the process for body cams, dash cams, radios, the whole?
3 different companies.
3 different companies.
Axon, GTAT, and then Motorola.
Okay. I know Motorola has a local presence, which made a difference, and also a part of the My Deal as well.
And there were radios and camera, so it was together.
They all kind of work together?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say typically you would see 3 requests for 3 different company proposals. We do have those numbers, but because they were My Deal, that complies with our purchasing agreement, we were also able to leverage the big package for a little bit better discount.
Okay.
And then Motorola also kicked in the cost to encrypt, to do the encryption programming. But I'll talk about that one time with one here after they're done. But just want to give you that answer.
Did all 3 of those companies have My Deal contracts, or just Motorola?
Just Motorola.
Just Motorola, okay. Okay, questions from commissioners?
First.
Commissioner Bassett?
So are these cameras, I'll say, pooled and available, that I come to my job, I grab an available cam and I put it on? Or is there a camera that's mine and it only is a camera that I wear? You understand?
They would be assigned.
It's assigned to me,
Yes.
but I get the same camera every time and nobody else uses my camera?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Is there a reason why you cannot share them? Or, I'm just curious, you could probably cut the number of them that you need, but,
Can they be?
yeah. It doesn't
well,
make any
it-
sense to do that.
I guess from my perspective, on the roadside, they're starting from where they're starting. No, because it's going to go with them. So
But I
they're
just
starting
come to my
when they're-
shift and I put it on, and then I get off my shift and I put it there, and then the person on the next shift comes and takes that same camera. You can't do that?
Can you? Yes. I mean, could you? Theoretically, you can do that.
Why wouldn't you do that?
With it, it would be assigned to the individual, I guess, for one. We all know when it's assigned to people, the care that's taken for any piece of equipment is better. Starting spread out in the county the way we have them, they have to have it. Otherwise, you're driving to somewhere just to find a piece of equipment that you're hoping isn't already or still out on another call, and not there to be used.
The previous shifts forget to put it on there, so when you get there, it isn't there.
Okay.
Yeah, you have charging problems with the batteries and all that stuff. So what's on the camera the previous shift might have, they haven't taken off it yet. There's a lot to it. We assign them the vehicle so they respond. As soon as they put their uniform on, they're ready to go to work. So rather than all converging at the sheriff's office, they're already scattered on all throughout the county. So so that camera's with them, their portable's with them, everything, all their equipment is ready to go right there.
Also on the back end of that, so when you assign someone the camera, it has to be logged into that person. So if that person hands that off, then a supervisor or someone with access to the back end would have to go and change it. This deputy is wearing it, and we'd have to keep track of that as we go and look for footage. It just makes it more time consuming and tough to keep track of that information that they record. So that's one reason.
If it were a small agency with 3 officers, that's not a major deal. But when we have 31 sworn officers, it does become cumbersome. Then another 20, lieutenant has 25 people in his jail. It becomes an issue.
Commissioner Smoker?
I see on here it's a 5-year warranty. Is there a longer warranty, or is that as much as we can get?
Radios or the cameras?
I'm under cameras, I believe.
So the camera is a standard 5-year package. We did include 2 extra years of licensing and storage on that. But right now, when you buy it, 5 years is the most manufacturer's warranty that we can offer.
Thank you. I'm big on warranties.
Okay. Additional questions to commissioners? Commissioner Timmerson?
Who spends all the time redacting all the information that's on your body cameras? Do you guys download all that
Right now, the
stuff?
lieutenant would be the one doing that.
Okay, so
We might have to
everybody
figure out
hands it to
something
you, and
else,
then...
That's probably going to have to be expanded if we're looking at this.
He's thrilled to death about that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say, that'd be a lot of time, right?
Our current process is lengthy. If I'm looking to review a 1 hour video, I'll have at least a couple hours into reviewing it and trying to get it downloaded and ready for somebody to actually receive it.
Were all three companies that you interviewed similar as far as like the easy process to redact sound,
Yes.
block out?
It's the upgrades that are there. I mean, we're working on a system that's
much better than it is now, that's for sure. Yes.
we've had for 15 years. I don't know. It's been...
Yeah, because when Bruce and I went through that, I was pretty impressed with the ability for the redacting stuff as far as blocking people out real easily and noise and sound, voices.
All three were fairly similar. Each one had kind of their own little things they did differently, but they're all, for the most part, pretty similar and much more user-friendly than what we're using, or what he's currently using.
Our current process, if I want to redact a portion of a video, I have to redact the video. Then I have to go back and redact the audio separate. So I double my time frame of, and you actually have to review it first to see what has to be redacted, and then go back, redact a video portion of it, then start back over and redact audio out of it. So if we have multiple cars on a scene and somebody FOIAs something from multiple vehicles that were at a scene, I would have to currently sit and go through every one of those and use that same process. Review it to see what has to come out, go back in, review the video, then review the audio to redact any of it.
I'm assuming there's some pretty good training involved in all this as well. I mean, we're upgrading radios. There's a learning curve in body cams and dash cams, everything else that goes with it.
Yes.
That's included?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you explain that training to us? What would be involved with that?
For the cameras?
The body cameras.
Yeah, so there's a couple different types of training. We have an on-site deployment, so you have an engineer and a project manager here in the county when we install, and they'll do some user training there. We have some virtual classes that people can join, and we have an ongoing online learning platform, so it's a series of almost like YouTube-style videos of every component of how to use it, and we keep updating that as the cameras improve and the software changes. So how to do administrative parts of it, there's a course on that. How to actually use the cameras, there's a course on that. The back-end software, how to do the redaction. So there's a course on every aspect of the camera usage.
Okay.
Another question. Okay, since you have something in place right now and you're replacing it with something else, have you mapped out how those changes are going to be rolled out, right, are going to be implemented, and how that training and the impact is going to be on your team? Does that make sense? You do something a certain way now with this new system. Are you going to do it differently, or is it the exact same system, just different tools?
Well, we don't have body cams, so that would be a complete new portion. And the in-car cameras, it's going to be through the training whether I have to adjust. I'm going to need additional help redacting if that's already been discussed. There's hurdles to get past prior to. So, is there things that are going to have to change? Probably, but there's a bunch of training that we're going to have to go through, and then there's
policy will need to be made for them. And
Okay. That's the piece. I come from a medical background, and I implement computer systems and communication systems and all that, and I'm used to a process of looking at what we do, seeing how we're going to do it differently, how do we put that on top of what we do right now. And I'm just seeing, have you been through that exercise and thought through that?
Yes, we have. Lieutenant Evans has actually been working on obtaining some policies to review and in preparation for moving forward with this.
The nice thing about this is we're not the new kids on the block when it comes to this technology. Pretty much, this technology is cop-friendly, so it's fairly easy for the user on the front end to use. Policies are out there. We've gleaned a lot of policies from other agencies, and we're going to put basically what fits in Berry County with those other policies. We're certainly not going to reinvent the wheel. We'll tailor it to what it needs to be, but that stuff has been in the process.
Mr. Chairman? Yeah, Commissioner Campbell.
How many of the body cams are normally in use, and how many are normally sitting, waiting to be used? What's a normal?
We don't have body cams here.
When you get them, what's your aspirations for? Going back to Commissioner Bassett's question there about using another one and stuff like that, I was just curious how many are being used, will be used at one time compared to how many would be sitting, being charged, in the waiting to be used. I mean, what is a normal?
Well, it's a number
force
that we can't predict, because if we have a call out, if SRT has a call out, or if we have something like Rock the Country, or if you have another event, well, you're going to have, everybody's going to need to have their own body.
Yeah, but there must be an average here. There must be a normal. I mean, Rock the Country doesn't happen every weekend.
Correct.
There must be a normal amount being used.
So we have 5 people on a day shift, 4 people on night shifts, plus the lieutenant's correction staff. So, I mean, it could be as many as 8, 9, 10 of them in one
On an
shift.
average for a 24-hour
Well, that would be
for a shift.
It would be 20 essentially, because if we had a day shift and a night shift, both on the road and in the jail, then every employee would have to be wearing a body cam.
Plus our transport.
Plus transport people, plus our court.
And then we also have 30 vehicles.
Our
We have 30 vehicles. How many normally are on the road with the 30 vehicles? How many are on the road being used?
Right now, we have 5 people on the road today.
Excuse me. How many are at somebody's house, why those are on the road? We have a take-home policy, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So I'm just asking for numbers. How many are being used in a normal situation, not Rock the Country?
If we were wearing them right now as we speak, there would be 5 of them on the road, plus lieutenant's correction staff, which I don't know, 4 or 5, I'm not sure.
And that leaves how many parked?
I'm sorry?
How many parked then at that point?
That would be, I don't know, what's the math on that? Then we'd have 10 out of 30, 36 of them, 46 of them, so about 25 of them, 25 of them.
Yeah. Well, I think, my opinion is we're behind the 8 ball on cameras. We're behind the 8 ball on that. And so we need to do something. It makes me nervous when we have to borrow it from the bank to do it. Every time I borrow something from when I'm at home, it's because, geez, I don't have the money. Well, if I don't have the money, I don't have the money. So I'm just thinking, is there any other way, Eric, or something that we don't have to finance to get this stuff, or is this something that has to be done through financing?
I can answer that when you're done with them, I guess, Bruce, if that's okay.
Appreciate the answers, guys.
Commissioner Tennyson?
When you guys take the vehicles home, when you're not on duty, what will be in the vehicle? The camera will be, so if you get called out, in other words, so that camera will be permanently in that vehicle, right?
Yes.
Okay, so then that would act as your, because you might necessarily have a body camera, right? If you're off duty, you're not going to, are you or are you not going to have a body camera?
That body cam will be assigned to that individual as well. So if he gets called out or she gets called out, it's right there ready to go.
Yeah, but you take it off when you're off shift, right? So you're not technically on duty, right? So you won't have the body camera if you were to get called from your house.
No, they would.
It'll be with that person, yes. It'll be in the docking station charging up for it.
Oh, so you'd have to come back to the sheriff?
They'll have a portable docking station.
It would be,
charging
yes.
with them.
So it would stay with the vehicle. They can respond directly to.
Okay, that was where I was a little bit confused. I didn't know whether you had to come all the way back to, get your personal one, because you were talking about it was assigned to you. So I was just a little confused on that. That's
You'll
all.
have the ability to charge it either in the car or at your house, yes.
Okay, all right.
So how does the camera footage from the body camera get downloaded?
If it has, well,
I mean, is the docking station?
Yeah. They'll be able to answer better than us.
Yeah, so we can upload in multiple different ways. So the in-car cameras essentially generally have an in-car cellular router in there, and they can upload as soon as you basically stop recording. It'll upload just like through a cell service. The body cameras can upload via a cellular SIM card, via Wi-Fi, or you can put them in a dock that's attached to the network. It'll pull the video off of the body camera. So multiple different ways on the body camera. In-car generally, it's right from the street from the cellular router.
And with the we know we've got X number of deputies on shift at any one time. Of the ones that are home and have cars, cameras, and everything else with them at home, how often do they get called out?
Often. Seems like I get a lot of calls. But I guess it just depends on what happens that day or night. I mean, can't predict.
Depends on if you're on one of the teams, like the accident and reconstruction team, TAC team, and there's a lot
Dive
of
team.
Dive team, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Crime scene.
I would like to add one thing, too. I was at the presentation. Was that Motorola we were at? That was somebody else. But what came out of it to me that stuck in my mind was that I could not believe the amount of record keeping and red tape and stuff that these guys are going through right now, and the improvement that would make changing over, because that record keeping process is mind staggering to look at it, which isn't hard for my mind, but it was very mind staggering when they was presenting how all the orders of everything you guys do right now to make this all come together was just crazy.
And we're only one Supreme Court decision away from it being even more.
Yeah. But anyway, I just want to tell kudos for how they keep up now with the way it is unbelievable.
Commissioner Bassett.
Can you explain to me, this might be a Motorola question, how the data is going to be stored? How's it going to be backed up? How's it going to be encrypted? Like, what's that whole process?
Yeah, so it's stored in the cloud, if you will, so in a secure data off-site facility. So once the video is uploaded, uploads wirelessly, the agency will have access to it on any of their computers that's set up, through IT beforehand. So, not just anybody can get into the system and view the video. You have to have the permissions, you have to have logged in. The connection between the cameras and the car, the cameras and the radio, and then to the cloud is all encrypted. And we've got engineers that can really dive into the weeds on how that is, but everything's encrypted as it goes to the cloud, so nobody can tap into it. There's no unauthorized access. For the video storage, included in this is unlimited storage of that, so whether you take one video that day or your whole shift, you're on a major incident, there's no issues there. And then based on how you tag that video is how long that video will be retained. So major felony, you might keep forever. Citizen contact, they jumped out and talked to somebody, that might be 90 days and that one delete. So there's rules and ways of purging and maintaining that data as well. Did that answer your question?
Part of it. Okay, and then tell me about, do you have redundant systems so that if system A goes down, you've got a system B? And then how are you keeping a backup of those systems? Again, if something happens to the data, you have a backup.
Yeah, our data centers are backed up, so there's multiple different locations that we store the data, and that's really one of the huge benefits of going to the cloud storage as opposed to an on-site server. On-site server, if lightning hits or something and it fries your server, you're done. We're in charge of all of that. We have multiple different sites with that, so your data will never be lost or you won't have access to it. We have that backed up and redundant.
Because I think, again, in my field, Spectrum goes down, Verizon goes down, I could be dead in the water. So I pay for two systems so that I could always have a backup system. Do you have to worry about that, or you have that built?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that. So the worst case scenario is if the internet went out in the sheriff's department, maybe they can't access it from the computer there, they could go to another location with their credentials, log in, and get access. So the information in the cloud, the data is never going to be inaccessible. You just might have to go somewhere else if your internet's bad in an area.
Okay, that answered my question.
Mr. Smoker?
Yeah, this question may be more for Eric than it is the team here, but on this, I understand that it's a lot of money, and it wasn't entirely in our budget. But if we don't do this, liability-wise, where are we standing?
Can I answer that question? I'll answer a couple of those yours and Bruce's if you don't mind. I just want to get these guys.
Because,
anything more for them?
With me on the questions of whether we get a few cameras or some for everybody, I do not want a situation where an officer needs help and we aren't going to send somebody because they don't have a camera. And that worries me. And just my thoughts.
Well, John, just for example, our officer-involved shooting detective sergeant was handling that, called one of his troopers on over, and she had a body cam on just to get a statement from a family member. And it was a very important statement that we got. So that way you don't have to try and remember and write it down. We got it verbatim right there.
Okay. Commissioner Getty?
Who controls the camera when it's activated? So does an officer have to turn it on when they arrive on a scene? And then do they have any editing control of the footage, or does it just get automatically streamed to the server?
It would depend on how we want it set up. It can be set up for activation of our lights. It can be set up for... It can be set up a few different ways, just depending on how your agency wants it. As far as like editing, no, they wouldn't. There would be very limited people, lieutenant, basically, maybe the supervisors, but no, they wouldn't even be able to see other people's. They would only be able to watch their videos.
Is that...
No, the explanation was that we have control of the settings of what people can and can't do, correct?
That's correct. And so you'll set up permissions based on whether you're a deputy, a sergeant, lieutenant, you have different rights and privileges. To their point, most deputies will not be able to even access anybody else's video. They can go in and watch their video to help them write a report. But as soon as that video is stopped and it's uploaded to the cloud, nobody can edit it. So you'll always have that original video. You can make copies of it, redact it, make clips that you can share with other agencies or with the press, whatever you want to do. That original video will always be there, not even an admin. The only thing an admin can do is go in and delete video if that permission's there, but nobody can edit or change that video. As far as triggering it goes, if it's paired with a vehicle, as soon as the overheads go on, the body camera also will go on with the in-car camera. If you trigger the in-car camera, it'll turn on the body camera and vice versa. It can be set to automatically come on if you push a button on your radio, an emergency button. There's lots of automatic triggers, or I've got one right here. They simply just push the middle button and it'll turn on.
And that was to Commissioner Getty's question, is what controls does an officer have over that technology turning off and on? I mean, if you're in a situation where you want to all of a sudden stop the camera, so you're not hearing a conversation or a video, and then turn it back on after a confrontation, is that possible?
It is possible. Generally, that's handled through policy, and you can't do that. But yes, it is possible to turn the camera off and then turn it back on to stop the video. There is also a possibility to mute. So if I'm having a side conversation with another deputy, there's a configuration of buttons you can push to mute that conversation while the video is still going. But those all can be turned on and off at the agency's preference on what their policy is as far as whether that can be muted. But yes, you can stop a video and then restart a video.
So they can be programmed so that couldn't happen, though. You're saying once you hit your radio, dash cams are on, body cams are on, then it's all automatically done.
Yeah.
it's programmed that way, or can be programmed that way?
It can be.
Okay. Because if we're spending $900,000 on preventative and liability issues and protection issues, I don't want them to be able to be turned off because someone's having a bad day or is going to throw a right hook or something, where there's a situation in there that they don't need to be turned off. It's probably even more important in the jail situation to know what's going on.
Policy-driven, as we review these policies from other agencies, it's on. We set parameters when it's turned on. We set parameters when it's turned off. If it's turned off during an incident, it has to be documented why it was turned off and why it was turned back on. So those policies will drive whether that was turned off or turned on. The officer will be required to document why that was turned off. It's going to be a very unusual circumstance why that would be turned off. So the policy will drive that. That will be one of our requirements of when it's turned on and when it's turned off. If it's turned off, why it was turned off will be documented why it was turned off.
Okay. Commissioner Tennyson?
So Pete, so that's a policy that the sheriff department will set?
Absolutely, we'll have a policy on the operation of this. It's very important for officers to know and when it needs to be turned on and when it can be turned off. So that will be something that they'll hold to, for sure.
Commissioner Bassett.
So I'm a new commissioner, okay, so bear with me on this question. Today you alluded to some things that are required for us to upgrade, like there's possibly new laws. You talked about there's some decisions that are even pending that may change what's required for us. Can anyone speak to what's required of this package that we absolutely have to do as required by law?
Go ahead, if you could.
It's not the body cams and cards. It's going to be some of the radio things, and the director, I'm sure, can explain that much better than we can. But throw under the bus there.
Hi. How are you? I guess I'm just going to say this without getting too much into the weeds. Mobile radio, which is a radio that's hardwired to a patrol vehicle or some type of apparatus. A portable radio is what they wear on their vest. That is a mission-critical piece of equipment. They cannot do their jobs without it. So I'm not really well-versed in law enforcement statute. I'm really well-versed in 911 statute. So I don't know what it says for you guys anywhere in your in their laws. I just know that they cannot do their job without it. And for my entire tenure here, so coming up on year 18, we've been operating in an environment where the system itself is not optimal. And now we're looking at device replacement. Devices are old. They're aging out. They don't work. The amount of infrastructure that we have definitely impacts that. And technology is expensive, right? And when you're looking at technology across the board, you have to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. And unfortunately, that hasn't always been done for a plethora of reasons. And with the topography that we have in Berry County, especially on the west side of the county, with over 300 named bodies of water, we have to have radio equipment that works, and that is not the cheapest radio equipment. And so the Motorola team is very familiar with me. Even the big boss, even the Michigan big boss that's over there, and probably sometimes they hate to see me coming. But if there was a way to make this cheaper, to make this more cost effective, I would have already argued it to the hill. It's just simply not there, and it's not getting any cheaper. And to not beat the dead horse, these are things and systems that honestly should have been in place years ago. And I know you've all heard me say we have a hard time struggling to look at the future, to look at what's going to be coming at us, because we keep looking behind us trying to catch up with the stuff that we should already have. And so I'm just going to leave you with that. They have to have it. That's going to be their lifeline at some point in time, and right now it does not work optimally.
Well, the follow-up question to what you just said is, how well does this prepare us for the next, say, 5 years, right?
Right.
How well do you think this prepares us?
Yeah, it's Rich Houston. I think from a device standpoint, very well prepared. Everything that is in this proposal is our latest release of equipment.
Okay. Thank you. That helps.
And I think that, can I just say this? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Like, this is not, these are not new technologies. This is not new science. For them, it will be. But if you could see some things like Motorola's Command Central and all of the things that could go together, that could start with us, CAD, we could track the radios via wireless or via cellular, via Wi-Fi. We could incorporate all their body cam, their dash cam, if we had license plate readers, and all of it could literally be commanded and held from one place. Now, Calhoun County bought it because they have a lot more money than us. We don't have that kind of money here. But I don't want you to think that this isn't great technology. It is, but this is not mind-blowing technology compared to what's out there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Additional questions from commissioners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I know when we were at budget talks last year, we spent some time talking about the take-home vehicles. And I think the director just spoke to it too, is we have budget issues and we're trying to build a new jail. I know we need new radios and I'm for cameras, but if I'm remembering correctly, last year we said we'd talk about the take-home vehicles this year. And, you know, are we going to continue that policy? And then are we jumping ahead by outfitting each of our vehicles now with all the equipment that we need?
Good question. Commissioner Cumberland.
My only question is, why, maybe I missed this, why is this happening at this moment in the budget cycle? Why couldn't it wait? Why didn't it happen before, until the regular budget cycle?
Eric.
I'll tackle that one.
Okay.
Sounds like I got a few to tackle. You guys are good.
Right out of your way.
As I mentioned at the start, I don't like the fact that we're coming mid-year. The radios have to be tackled this year. We have an encryption requirement that needs to be done by this fall. Why we were taking that opportunity to package a project to get a greater discount at this time. Right, wrong, or indifferent, is we're looking at the size of even the radio bid. I don't feel comfortable hitting us on one budget cycle. And I understand we don't love debt. We don't have a lot of debt. But for short-term periods for capital projects at a sizable cost, I'm not afraid of it when we get a reasonable bid. If we were doing this for operations, payroll, keeping the lights on, I'd have serious issues because we'd have a serious problem. But when we're acquiring new technology in a mid-year budget cycle, especially when we have some of it we have to tackle. From the radio side, I still wouldn't want a $400,000 hit to the budget. That wasn't planned. We have some revenues that were not anticipated. We have the solar grant revenue that's coming in. We have, I know, potentially working through the legislature, there's some dollars for the Sheriff's Department that would help pay for this. I would tell you that MMRMA sees a lot of value in body cams and in-car cameras, so the fact that they have a grant program. So they're really encouraging us to look at doing that. So that's why there was a method to my madness when we put this on the agenda. First, I wanted you to see the proposal, approve the proposal. Second, this is how we're going to finance it. Third, this is one mechanism that we're going to pay for it. We have 140-ish thousand coming in for the solar that we would apply for the first year payment. This, I know we'll have we have some positions not filled in the Sheriff's Department, but then it gives us 2 more years. Same thing, we have another 140-some thousand next year to pay, coming in for solar to help pay for year 2. but it also gives us time to look at those other avenues of how we're funding it, and it would go through that budget process in those years, just saying, this is a priority we need to have. The fact that we can do it all at one time is our biggest bang for the buck. We're going to get the best discount right now. If I go back to them next year with, okay, I'm ready for 10 more cameras, the price will be higher. But because we have an economy of scale by saying we have this radio project, they have a camera project, the in-cars, the body cams, Motorola's like, hey, we want you guys to buy our product, so we're going to give you a better discount. They threw an additional $15,000 in for the encryption cost. As I mentioned, Director Lehman offered to help cover that cost through some credits that she has. That's something that she and I will work out. So that $15,000 credit they're giving us to pay that bill, we're just going to use that to pay their bill. So we're getting another $15,000 on top of that. That's savings for us right now. So once again, I don't like mid-year budget surprises. And as you well know, I came in right when you were approving the budget last year. So I heard the radio conversation, but the body cams was a new one. Obviously, I think a lot of that's been driven by things that have happened over the past year. Things that, in my opinion, I can completely support. I think for Commissioner Smelker's question, to me, it's a liability issue. It protects our liability. He said, she said, things that happen in the field. We'd love to say, hey, our officers, we back them 100%, but sometimes things happen in the field. We'll have a video image of what happened. So if we get sued, we can say, this is what happened. Or, hey, if we did something wrong, we did something wrong. I like that from the protection of our liability alone, both for the officer's sake and for the county's sake.
Commissioner Tunison?
Yeah, but Eric, once we make this move, this is going to be a yearly thing for eternity.
This cost will take you for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's going to cover your 7 years. You're not going to have additional costs for 7 years. After 7 years, you will have a licensing cost for the body cams if you continue with the program at that time. This also gets you a body cam refresh in year 3. So all new body cams in year 3, which I had talked to the Motorola staff and said, hey, if it's working, do we have to get them all new? Can we wait till year 4? And they're like, we don't see a reason not, why we couldn't do that. So I think for us, it's a new venture, and as you heard, this is not a reinventing the wheel. This is standard gear departments. I think we're one of the few left in West Michigan that don't have body cams. I think it was pointed out by a resident, Prairieville and Berry Township have body cams. And this resident strongly suggested that we can approve this request. He just thinks it's good for the county. Yeah, I think you all got that email.
Yeah, but getting back to Catherine's question, how much is it per vehicle to put the cameras in per vehicle?
Understand. Trust me, I understand, and I know that's a question, and I've been asked to look into it. And we will continue looking into it, but I've talked to other colleagues. Take-home cars are standard practice in counties, and I know it's a budget issue. And if that's not, and it's obviously our discretion at the commission level to make those decisions and explore them, and we can. I don't think this investment will go to waste, no matter what. I think you'll have events. I think you'll have the opportunities that you'll need this technology.
Mr. Chair.
We have Motorola's in some of our cars right now that are 25 years old, so we're looking at a 15, 20-year investment right here.
Yeah, for your radios, absolutely. You're set for a long time on the radios. And I think that was a question I definitely asked the Motorola team and the Sheriff's Department team, because once again, I said, if I have to take this to the commissioners mid-budget cycle, I want to make sure we're going to be covered for a while. I don't want to have to come back to you in 2 months or 2 years or 3 years to say, hey, I need another $10,000 for radios. I'll let Dower handle that if that happens, and if that's more employees, that's time great. But for now, for what we know, I've been assured by the Sheriff's Department, that this will cover our needs for the foreseeable future. Now, obviously, take-home cars are your call, and that's definitely a budget issue. What I know right now, where we're at right now, this satisfies what we have in place.
Mr. Chair, this is, I think, about the 9th year I've been on the county commission. This is the largest mid-budget kind of surprise I've ever seen. And I don't see the things leading up to it. I mean, everyone's going through this. How did this suddenly become a surprise? I mean, this technology and this and that, the whole country's going through it, and I just don't understand why this comes up as a mid-budget thing.
Agreed. Additional questions?
Are we likely to see any favorable change in our liability insurance rates if we adopt this technology?
I don't think it's going to impact your rates per se, but I think that's why they have a grant program, because they want to encourage their clients to have them. I think what it does is it protects potentially against loss down the road. So if we have an incident where we didn't have camera footage, we have camera footage that shows our officers acted properly, I think that saves us on lawsuits, which in the end, that loss ratio does impact our insurance. I don't think just by having them, they're going to say, oh, we're going to give you a discount. And Commissioner Carlton, I don't disagree. I heard some talk about the radios last year, right when I started. But I know we're looking at a deadline on radio, so I think half of what you have in front of you, we have to do now. Whether it was the right process or not, I can just say where we're at today, we need to tackle that issue. And I think, so if we're going to tackle that issue, we should take the opportunity to invest in safety and liability for our department. Once again, I don't like mid-budget surprises. I hate them more than you do, because I'm the one that is on the receiving end of your questions and, not being happy. So that's why I told Darrell this is his one pass with me. And with you guys, that's a whole separate issue.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Campbell.
I agree with Commissioner Carlton there that, midway budgets and stuff are a big no-no. But I also know that we were in a big transition period at that time. We were looking for an administrator, and so we had a lot going on then. But I will say this much about our sheriff's department, is that number one issue here is the safety of our officers. That's number one. Number two is, of course, the liability attached to it. But I'm not in favor of the mid-budget, but I also know that sometimes those emergency things happen, and we got to look by what's normal, because I don't want to get on a slippery slope, and next year we have another mid-season budget change going on or something like that. But most importantly, we got to think about our officers first, and we are well behind, and sometimes that looks like Berry County's behind, but I look at it like this. We may be behind in some things, but we are financially sound where many counties are not. So I think that has to be taken into consideration too, for the fact why we are behind in the radios and things like that. It's because we've had common sense to keep us out of the neighboring counties' problems, financial issues. We don't have those, and we don't want those, so we just got to move cautiously on this thing. That's all I have.
Commissioner Hatfield.
I don't disagree at all with the fact that mid-year budget amendments are not something that we like to see. However, over a 40-some-odd year career as a senior executive, I can probably count on one, maybe two hands, the number of years when something didn't come up. Now, it can either come up because you weren't adept at designing the budget in the first place, sloppy work, and you weren't prepared. I don't think that was the case here at all. I think we have a little bit of an issue with the transition, and Eric came in and inherited what had been done before, and what had been done before had indicated that we might be able to wait longer on the radios than what it's turned out that we could. But in today's world, things change. And the reason why we get paid the big bucks is because we have to sit here and deal with those changes and decide what is appropriate. I would be more concerned about a mid-year budget correction if we were pushing through something that was not absolutely essential. But to me, this falls in that category of something that is about as absolutely essential as what you can possibly get when you talk about the safety of our deputies and the safety of the county, in that this goes a long way toward protecting us against what could be some very significant liability if we don't have this technology to back up what our deputies are doing for us in the field. So I can live with it.
Okay, good conversation, Commissioners. Commissioner Bassett.
Okay, one more question. So you said we're going to be having, no additional expenses over the next 7 years. Are there expenses that we have in the budget right now that we won't have to spend that money and instead have these payments? Like, does it offset any of these costs?
I mean, we have some open positions right now that will help fill some of that gap, and I think that's what the first year, I'm comfortable enough that we can pay the first year with the current budget, with some of the other things that we're talking with this financing arrangement. You said find $800,000 right now. I think Will and I would be like, okay, but we'll have to look at that as a priority for the next 2 years. Is, we have this payment that needs to be made. How do we do it?
Well, repair of existing equipment, are there budget items for that we won't have then?
There is an amount in there, but you're talking the $280,000 annual expense. So, like I said, roughly 150 from the solar will help the next 2 years. Now, I think the sheriff has been following closely the legislature. It's getting bipartisan support, so I have a lot of hope for it to pass. We'll have about 230,000 that will come from a public safety fund that will be in place that the legislature can't really mess with at that point. So that money will flow to us. It's planned on an annual basis.
It was designed for smaller rural counties like Berry.
So it's redistributed to the villages, the cities. The state gets some money, but then the last 20% comes to the counties, and then distributed based on a formula. And what's not accounted in here, and I've already talked to, Middleville is responsible for paying for their share of the equipment for the officers in Middleville. And I've already talked to Craig Stolzenberg to say, hey, Craig, this is coming, right? He said, yes, I know it's coming. He wasn't excited, but he also supports the idea of investing. So I think we will make this work. If I was uncomfortable, we could have pushed out 4 or 5 years. I didn't want to take that much longer debt out. I thought 3 we could do with a favorable interest rate, which I think you'll see we got a pretty good rate.
Okay. Everybody good? I would just say that I think this board supports body cams, dash cams, the technology upgrades. I think they're needed, especially after the incident that kind of brought it all. I've been talking to Director Lehman for some time about the 900 megahertz and the changeover with encrypted radios, and of course towers and some of the other things we need in the county. This is one step in that direction. Good conversation on the cars. I mean, we have those where we're talking about 30 in-car dash cams, but based on the information that we were told, there's 9 cars on the road on any given day, 5 at day, 4 at night. So we have 20-some cars sitting, pending, nothing going on, nothing else going on when you mention dive team and things like that. So that's a question mark that needs to be discussed among the board at some point when you look at that, because that's a big expense. That's a big expense for the county when you're outfitting these cars, but that's not what we're going to solve today. So, I mean, that's a budget negotiation going forward, and as Eric pointed out, that also is something that is pretty common practice for many counties with take-home cars. So, but it's an expensive option for a small county, so it's quite a bonus.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'm going to vote yes on this, but I feel like this is a shotgun wedding. I I support our public officials and police officials, law enforcement, central dispatch and all, but I don't like the process. I think the process stinks, but I'll vote yes because I do support them.
I agree with the process. I'm not a fan of mid-budget, especially something this expensive, when this should have been seen coming. This should have been a conversation that we've had years ago, but here we are today. So, the chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of a contract with Motorola Crouch Communications for the replacement/upgrade of portable and mobile radios, in-car cameras, and body cameras.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Smelker, support by Tunison, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of a contract with Motorola Crouch Communications for replacement/upgrade of portable and mobile radios, in-car cameras, and body cameras. Mobile radios, in-car cameras, and body cameras. Any additional discussion or questions?
This is to move it on to the full board, right?
Yeah, this is to move it on to the full board for next week for a final vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. The board's going to take about a 5 to 7 minute recess, and we'll be right back. Thanks, Mike. Everybody deserted us. Next on our agenda, resolution for installment purchase agreements for radios, in-car cameras, and body cameras. Eric, you want to guide us through this?
So, knowing that I didn't want an $800,000 hit in this budget cycle, we put out a request for proposals from financial institutions, working with the treasurer's office to see what we can do for the best possible rate structure for us. We worked with Mark Nettleton, one of our attorneys, who put this resolution together and who's done that for the county and other installment purchase agreements in the past. I think last time I saw, we bought a piece of land a few years ago. So you have a resolution in your packet. You have the list of proposals that we received. I will tell you, High Point was very aggressive in their rate proposal, which I appreciate. And I think their representative, when he dropped it off, just said if somebody beats us, they really, really wanted it because we really want this. So I think the 3-year term buys us the time we need. We looked at 4 and 5, but 3.99 for 3 years, we can make it work.
Okay.
So we'll just need you to pass the resolution, or recommend to the BOC to pass the resolution, the installment purchase agreement.
All right, there'll be a resolution number on this next week?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? This seems like a pretty straightforward proposal.
Try to.
Seems like a good rate.
Very good rate.
Well, I just saw some special assessment bonds that were sold for a bigger county, and they got 4.2. So the fact that we're below that, I think it's pretty good.
Okay. If there are no questions on the installment contract, the chair would recommend to the Board of Commissioners adoption of resolution to be named next week, number that would approve a proposal from High Point Community Bank for a 3-year installment purchase agreement for the replacement/upgrade of portable and mobile radios, in-car cameras, body cameras for the Sheriff's Department.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Hatfield, support by Bassett. Okay. Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Lastly on our list, MMRA grant application for in-car cams, body cams, and data storage. This looks like a really good time to discuss this as well. So,
so as part of the proposal to purchase the cameras, I started exploring different ways to pay for them. And MMRMA has been very supportive of communities applying for this type of technology. And if you remember, we did apply for a small grant for them for cybersecurity. But it's been a few years since we really applied for anything from MMRMA, and they were really encouraging us to do so, our agent. We have requested in-car cameras twice before over the last decade. So our percentage participation and grant amount's a little lower on that. But the body cams and the data storage would be a first-time request, so we can get the max reimbursement. Talking through with Motorola, we will work with them to craft the package for the application. We should be maxing out our requests.
Okay.
So you got this in addition to the solar grants, so you have $95,000 here potentially that will help pay for this year's payment. And this is a one-time grant, so at least it's a little more than 10%, which is a bonus in my book.
Okay, and when is the $230,000 you discussed for small community public safety going to become available?
It's rolling through the legislature right now. It's in the Senate. I will be following it. I think the hope is that what I've heard, the Senate is supportive and the governor is supportive. So since it started in the House, they may have to reconcile some things, but I would encourage you to reach out to your respective representatives and Senator Albert when you get a chance and just encourage them to pass that.
Okay. Now, and you also mentioned there are unfilled positions in the Sheriff's Department. Normally, those unfilled positions or budget appropriations that aren't spent go into our slush funds at the end of the year. I don't know if we can use some of that as well, but
Yeah, I mean,
you see it appropriate at that point based on what those numbers come in to be?
Yeah, I think that would be you do the budget amendment at the end of the year, and instead of putting it into like your capital equipment or your IT or your building, you'd say, hey, we have the need this year for our capital equipment. So we're just going to use that portion of it for this. But once again, if that 230 comes in at some point in the next end of the year, that's a big portion of our payment for the next few years. And say, that's what we're going to use to help invest in the sheriff's department.
Fantastic. Any other additional questions from commissioners?
But this was a no-brainer to me. It's my grant, and a chance we can get for a grant that supports what we need to do. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I don't know if there are other federal grants available outside of this grant, but state or federal grants, but every little bit helps when you're talking about $850,000, $900,000.
I think if we were on the cutting edge on this at the time, there probably was, but with body cams and radios, that's something that's pretty standard now for most departments. So I haven't seen them out there. But once again, this 230 would be that example of funding from the state that we could use.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Rassett.
One question on this. I was trying to wade through this in the airport last night. You said $95,000 would be...
Potentially.
Potential is the maximum potential, but then I add up 50, 30, and 20, and it's $100,000. I just want to clarify that the maximum is $95,000 one time first year.
I'm looking at
There's little amounts all through this.
Yeah, so we've got $20,000 for the in-car cameras because it's our third request.
Okay.
You got $25,000 for the data storage, 50% up to $25,000.
Yeah.
And then the body cams, you have $50,000.
Okay, so some of these other things we are not going to use.
No.
Okay.
No, and now if something down the road comes up, these are just examples of things they funded.
Okay.
So every time we go to look to buy something, if we can use to have this, we will.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. There are no further questions. The chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of a grant submission to the MMRMA for the purchase of in-car cameras and body cameras.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Getty, support by Tunison, to recommend to the Board of Commissioners approval of a grant submission to MMRMA for the purchase of in-car cameras and body cameras. Additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I do not see either Andrea Kingsley or Jerry Wilson here. So they must have had a bad morning. Limited public comment. At this time, any member of the public wishing to address the board may do so for up to 3 minutes for anything that is on their mind this morning.
You think, Dave, you turned that heat up to watch us all sweat.
Exactly.
Wanted to see sweat, you see my guys out on the road that doing traffic out there. Oh, wow, we got hot. Anyways, thanks for the support on this so far here. I'll ask Eric here, because we're looking at Walmart grants and stuff like that too. Sometimes they have grants. Target sometimes has grants. Might as well reach out to them too. Just kind of snowballed. Started out with the radios, then our in-car cameras were going bad. So I know the undersheriff here was reaching out to them, lieutenants was reaching out to them else, and they quit responding to us, only to find out they went out of business after we've been doing business with them for 15 years. So then we had the problem with the in-car camera, and it snowballed. Then we had the officer involved shooting, then everybody's asking, hey, where's the body camera footage? And I'm going, we don't have those. Why not? They're expensive. And we're trying to educate the public on the continuing cost of it too. And I think you guys got a handle on that now. And the amount of time it takes to pay a lieutenant to go through and start redacting like children, the victims, messages coming in and out on the audio and stuff like that. So yeah, the expense doesn't stop there. So again, appreciate you guys for doing that, because in reality it does help our officers. When I watched that detective sergeant grab one of his troopers on up to a family member and get a statement, that was a big value, and that was a very, very important statement he got. So again, I'm going to invite you guys anytime you want to come on out. We'll hook you up for a ride along, and you can see our guys in action. And if you got any questions, you got my number. So, thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Hearing none. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Bassett.
I think, let's see, this week I have Glib in Prairieville, and last week I had Community Mental Health, which Rich Timke gave a big report to us, but he didn't come today, but hopefully he'll be here next week. I'd rather him give the data because I might misspeak. And then Yankee Springs, it was a highlight that, now they have their own standalone fire department, and they swore in several officers, administrators, and it was really a wonderful experience. Catherine and I both experienced that. A lot of people from the community there, photo ops. It's just a huge point of pride for that township. So it really was a great experience to be there. So that's it.
Good. Mr. Colton.
We had a great car show in Nashville on Saturday. We're hoping to do our strawberries in at the community garden. And I picked a few quarts of them last night. Catherine's going to make them up with shortcake. And we're hoping, if weather permits on Wednesday, to do a strawberry shortcake social at the garden. But it looks like, I'm looking at the hourly timing, it's like it's time to hit.
Doesn't look good.
Right when we're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But then I suggested a hurricane party.
Mr. Getty.
When are you going to serve them here?
More shortcake for me.
There you go. There you go.
It'll freeze well, and we'll reschedule if we need to. Yankee Springs was a highlight. They're just doing great things there. Pickleball courts are coming along, and the resurfacing of their walking track at their township park. They even had a request to hold a pickleball tournament there that night, so they're working through that request, but Yankee Springs is doing great things.
Awesome. Commissioner Smoker.
In my going to the Freeport Village meeting, and they are putting in for a grant through our rec association for pickleball courts in Freeport.
They got it.
Did they? Yeah. Okay, good. And Irving is tonight.
Irving's tonight. Commissioner Tunison.
I thought maybe I should take a moment to recognize the Fair Board. That took a lot of courage for those guys to allow that event around the country to come to. That could have gone bad, and they could have got ran out on a rail, right? But I give them a lot of credit, but they're also supposed to be stewards of making that better when they leave. And that building's been there for 25 years, so they're starting to have some issues that they're going to have to put money into. Okay, and when you get an opportunity for somebody to come along and going to give you a little bit of a little help, I think you take advantage of it. And I think from the amount of people I've talked to that just had a great time there. But it took a lot of courage for those guys to do that, because they could have had a lot of people there at board meetings just eating them up.
Yeah.
So that's about all I got.
Mr. Campbell.
It's hot in here. That's all I have.
Nice, isn't it?
Commissioner Hatfield.
City Council last week, Joint Planning Alliance last night, and more to come. So we're continuing to work with the city and Rutland Township on Myers, and hopefully we'll continue to make some progress with that.
Fantastic. And just again, when we heard about Rock the Country coming to Hastings a year ago, my first thought was, this is a scam. Kid Rock and Nickelback are not coming to Berry County. Until I talked to my son, and he said, no, I've been to them. They do them all over the place. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is real. So the research and everything, but for them to pull off what they pulled off with 25,000, 30,000 people piling into Berry County on a 2-lane road, with, like you said, if you had expectations there was going to be traffic, you weren't disappointed. So they had, you knew that was going to happen. So, but to see how well that went with how few issues, and fingers crossed, the weather reports earlier in the week didn't look good. They had a little rain on Friday, a little drizzle, but it all kind of worked out. We were very pleased and very grateful for all the people who gave time, effort, and energy to put Berry County on the map a little bit, so that was really good. And one other thing, I understand there is a birthday in the house. Commissioner Carlton turned, 32 today or something? So, we want to wish
Double that and add 3.
Double that and add 3. Okay. So, we appreciate your time served, both at the county board before, at the state level, back at the county board again, your continued support for your community, your service, and the garden and the strawberries. We're very grateful and can't wait to see the results of your efforts. So, wishing you all a very happy, safe birthday and many more. So, and thank you all for coming. Appreciate the comments and the questions on body cams and how everything worked today. So that's a lot of money. It is mid-budget. I appreciate the input. I share the frustration. But again, it was something that I think we needed to take the opportunity for the savings and move forward on. So thank you, commissioners, as well.
It was November when we started talking about the Rock the Country.
Yeah, crazy. How they found Berry County, we don't know, but it sounds like they'll be back, so we'll see.
We have some theories.
You have some what? Some theories?
Theories of why they wanted to do it here.
Aha. Dun, dun, dun,
There's
dun,
some
dun.
ties to the county.
Oh, really? Okay. Good to know. Thank you all. Be safe. Enjoy our weather, and we'll enjoy